We're live. We're live, guys. And for Heavy Muscle Radio, hope you guys will be watching. I got the technician here, Chris Aceto.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
And we're back for another installment of Heavy Muscle Radio. We're live. We weren't going to go live, but we are live. And I'm here with the technician, Chris Aceto, who is poised to be heading to the Arnold UK any day. When do you leave it, tomorrow?
I leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I get in super early Wednesday morning.
Where are you staying in over there?
Kamal has an Airbnb, so I'm staying with Kamal.
Nice. So it's going to be you, Andrew, and Kamal together?
Fareed is coming too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So in case anyone pulls out of the show, I can ask why he's got his natural pro card. Can he cross over like 19 divisions?
Does he have spring break or something? What's going on with him?
Pull him out of school.
Oh, he's playing hooky. I love it.
Yeah.
Prioritize that bodybuilding. I think that's the way to go.
I sent a text message that I sent him to Sergio, and it was all like diet questions. And I said, look, Sergio, there's not one question about grades.
I know someone who would try to take custody away from you for doing that. You know, so.
Well, it is what it is. You know,
it is what it is. It's college.
He's doing a real estate business class right now, and he interviewed me yesterday. Oh, he did? Well, you're I kind of felt like Ferris Bueller's Day. Was it Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Rodney Dangerfield?
No, yeah. Back to school. To school.
Yeah, the questions don't even apply to the real world.
Well, it was either you or Trump he interviewed, and he figured you were more relevant for real estate. You're more successful.
Easier access than Trump.
There you go. It's always good to get dad. Well, you probably were never one of those dads that went up to school. Well, your kids was homeschooled, so you didn't even do like bring your parent up for
they were homeschooled until like I think 8th and 9th grade. And I told you when Fareed had his first parent teacher conferences, I got a personal email from the teacher that said you have to be there, and I was like, gosh, like what's going on? And we wanted to meet his parents because he's like miles ahead of everybody.
Oh, really?
Classroom, yeah.
So your wife did good then.
Oh my gosh. They were like,
that's great.
They were like every subject they were a year ahead.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's cool. Look, homeschool. The good thing about homeschool is you can cut out all the irrelevant stuff and just do the relevant stuff, which is it kind of focuses them down if they're the kind. Like, I don't think my kids would learn at home. I don't think they would be on the phones. They would be like they need to go to school to pay attention. But your kids are pretty good in terms of like they'll listen.
Well, there was no. I think when they were doing homeschool, there was phones and stuff like that. No, there were iPhones and all that. Yeah.
But how did she keep them focused like that?
Strict schedule, just like. But they liked it because it was like, you know what? There's a lot of wasted time, and they were only in school maximum 3 hours.
Right.
Intense, and then you have the whole day free.
Right. So how did you do it with two different, because they were different ages? So were they both doing the same stuff, or were you kind of mixing it up?
It was probably so far ahead because she was teaching a curriculum for, that was advanced.
Gotcha.
It was amazing. I mean, I look back and it's an undertaking, but
yeah,
I can say this, that the the public school compared to what they learned in homeschool it's not even remotely in the same category.
Right. Plus, your kids had the advantage of, seeing you run your business and the real estate and everything like that. I think that's a lot of relevant, real world experience that you don't get at school either, because they were home watching you do stuff like that,
Yeah. So maybe we'll do the 12 and the 7-year-olds.
Well, one of your kids is going to take over the real estate empire at some point. So who it is remains to be seen,
Draw it out of a hat.
Yeah. Did you hear that? I knew he had some kidney issues, but did you hear Lee Haney's looking for a kidney? Did you see that?
I did not know
Not
that.
to change the subject. Yeah, he's. I didn't realize it was that bad, but he evidently, his son Josh put this up, and 26 years ago, he said he was told he would eventually need a kidney transplant. He was able to delay it many years. Now his kidney's failing, and he's looking for a living donor. So I guess they're looking for someone who might want to donate. And obviously, we love Lee Haney. We love all our Iron brothers and sisters. So if anyone wants to check to see if they are a donor, you can reach out to them. Reach out to Josh or Lee directly. We obviously don't want to see anything. We want to see Lee lose that kidney and not have to be on dialysis. So this would be a great gift if someone could potentially donate. I've seen a lot of people in the bodybuilding community who needed kidneys get some tremendous. I mean, Don Long's wife was a match for him. I mean, think about that. What was the odds of that happening?
Yeah.
And I think his sister gave him the original kidney that was rejected, and then his wife gave him one.
You're right about that.
Yeah. So you never know. So like I said, anyone in the Lee circle or anyone out there who's listening to this who's healthy and wants to help Lee out, you'll be forever tied to Lee Haney. I'm sure you guys will be like brothers, sisters, or brother and sister, depending on who donates. It's a great gift to give someone. I know Mike Palazzo found 2 people because he needed 2 transplants over the course of his life. Flex Wheeler had, obviously the kidney transplant. So it's a tremendous gift, and it takes a very unselfish person to donate a kidney too, Chris, because who wants to give up a kidney? At the end of the day. But some people are very, very giving, and they'd rather save a life. So. Anyone out there watching this, reach out to Lee. Okay, I wanted to say that. We've got the Arnold UK coming up, as you know. Andrew jacked, looking for 2 in a row, and looking to win that $250,000, even though he doesn't really care about money, but that would mean he won $1 million between the 2 Arnolds. The only one seems to be standing in his way is going to be Martin Fitzwater, who is back in the mix. Hadi Chupin out of the show. What makes you think? Well, let me get your opinion. Why do you think Hadi dropped out? First of
all, disappointment on his placing.
Really, but why wouldn't he just come back better?
Because he's been second. He's been first, second. It's a step back for him. A third for someone of his stature is actually, in his eyes, I'm just speculating, but it's a loss. Whereas if you get second at the Olympia, you know what I mean, and there's a big difference between second and third. When you've been second, or first, he's won the Arnold decisively. He's won the Arnold UK decisively. He's won the Olympia decisively. He's been second at the Olympia twice in a row. And, you go to the show and now you're getting third behind people who have, keep in mind, never beaten you. Andrew, and Nick Walker's never beaten him. So it has a big negative impact. So you have to decide, One, am I going to regroup for the UK? Or two, am I going to take an alternative route, go to the Olympia, or just, there's rumors of retirement. And I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. What do you suspect if you were a betting man? You're usually the prophet lately. Will we see Hadi back at the Olympia?
I don't know. I think so. I think so. Yes. I think he'll be back at the Olympia. I think that this strategy may be simply that, okay, if I was third here, maybe it's best to let my body rest immediately and then regroup for the Olympia. Remember, the Olympia itself, the distance between the Olympia, Martin, Andrew, Nick, Hadi, they all just came off prepping a long period of time for the Olympia, and really small break and segue into the prep for the Arnold. The toll, you know what I mean? The mental toll, the physical toll it takes on your body to extend, another 3 weeks or 4 weeks to the Arnold UK. It's something to consider.
Right.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do multiple shows.
Can Martin take out Andrew? Do you think?
I don't.
Obviously, you're a little biased here, but that's fine.
I don't think so. I mean, potentially, he's a top 4 guy. But I will rewind to not this Olympia, but the previous Olympia where he was 4th and Andrew was 5th. If Andrew had had a better last 6 weeks prep for that show, or even 3 weeks, I think the results would have been different. So, meaning not this Andrew, but that Andrew would be a lot.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, how is Andrew looking? I mean, you're going to be seeing him tomorrow in person, but are you happy with the way he's progressed from the first Arnold?
Well, he posted pictures up. What you put him on RX?
He did. Yeah, I'm gonna put him up. But I'm just asking you.
Yeah, he looks very, very, very good. Very good. He's locked in. Kamal's been with him since. I think they've been together since the Arnold. Yeah, they went. That's right. They went together from Columbus directly to England. So they've been training.
Andrew looks enormous in this picture, by the way.
They've been training since the show.
Have you been just feeding him more to fill him out? I mean, he looks huge here.
You of course, Dave. I'm the counterintuitive king. Less.
He looks better, bigger. Does that make sense?
Well, he gets bigger from less food.
Yeah, does he? Oh, you're not even feeding him a lot, and he's filled out. That's funny.
No.
His like abs look sharper to me. Like his whole physique looks sharper, and he looks fuller. I don't know why.
He's rounder, and he looks less limmy.
Yes, 100% right. His legs look better to me.
You got it. His legs are better, and he's so wide, with so much back depth now, and so big through the pecs, that the legs, which are definitely bigger at the Olympia at the Arnold than the Olympia, but his upper body's also bigger. So the illusion is created with fuller legs.
You know what's funny about his lower legs? He's got like really short calves, but they're so huge that they look like someone put like a softball in there. They're enormous.
He's got high calves.
Yes, but they're huge.
Yeah, he's got very, very, very good calves.
Usually high-calved people don't have good calves,
Yeah, it's a pity he shoots them, according to Giles. Giles.
Oh, Giles says he shoots?
Yeah, thinks he jimmies them up.
Well, then it must be true, right?
He just jimmies the biceps, triceps, shoulders, and pecs.
At least he's not using the PMMA, right?
Fully stride Jimmy shoulders.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let me ask you this question, because this is kind of, I kind of know the answer, but I want to get your opinion anyway. Why first of all, why aren't we seeing Nick in the UK, Arnold? Because I know I think he had committed to do it, and then he backed out. And secondly, why didn't Nick just walk into Detroit last week and win that show?
You know what?
And qualify.
I don't understand, honestly, why the top 5 didn't walk into Detroit. It was $25,000 first prize. It's not chump.
It's not chump change. I know.
And any one of those 5, top 5. I'm sorry. Who did win it? I forgot already. How's that?
Mo Photo, who wasn't even top 5.
Any of the top 5, not at the best, would have won.
Yeah. So
they could have, they could have tweaked their plan. They could have come in too flat, full. Be careful. You weren't as tight as you were. Or be careful. You were flat. But tight. And they still would have won. It just boggles my mind.
I know
that any of the top 5 did not do it. It's I understand like 10 grand, by the time you fly there, the whole the stress, but you could have just cruised in, cruise
right
in.
Fouad put up a lot of money for that. I mean, that's a lot of personal, that he's not like, he's bankrolling that show. So 25 grand is not chump change. And like I said, it's an Olympia qualification. I mean, Nick Martin could have snagged one there. I know Brandon didn't need one, but I mean, Brandon could have gone in there and won 25 grand too, for sure. He would have won that show the way he looked at the Arnold. So, but he doesn't need the qualification. But for Nick and Martin, I think that was a huge mistake not to go in there and pick up that qualification.
Dave, the mistake is simply this, besides the money. The mistake is that, injuries occur.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people in like the last 5 years who did make it to a show, but they had, who didn't make it to a show with an injury? Gabrielle Zancanelli. He did.
That's right. True.
Good Vito didn't make it to the Pittsburgh.
You're right. That's right.
Those are last minute injuries, which the point being is that the guys that we just mentioned, you could be doing calf raises and, twisted ankle, which means you can't do heavy leg presses. You can't do, going forward, you can't do bent over rows because of the support, because you twisted your ankle. Injuries occur, and you never know when. They don't have to be career-ending injuries, but you find out like later in the year, why didn't so-and-so qualify that year? Well, he pulled out because of the ankle. Or you find out, so-and-so looked so much better, at the show 2 months before. Well, he looked like terrible here. You don't want to let the cat out of the bag and say, well, he twisted his ankle and he couldn't do cardio.
Right.
Or he couldn't do walk-in lunges, so he was not as tight as he's been in the past. But I know people that I've worked with in the last 5 years who have small or some, Derek tore pec 5 weeks out before the Olympia.
I didn't know that.
And people do not know the extent of that tear.
I didn't know that. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
No, he announced that. He put that on one of, and it was.
He kind of dismissed it as it seemed very minor to me.
It was like, well, if you saw the black and blue that it caused.
Well, then you're saying it wasn't minor. He downplayed it is what he did.
Well,
right?
There was in the recess of my mind, there was some possibility that I don't think it'd pull up, but it was more than a tweak. And I just said Gabrielle had a teardrop injury that was getting better. It was getting better. That's why he flew to Brazil. From Brazil to the Arnold. It was getting better. And then guess what? The last 2 days, it suddenly got crazy worse.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, to the point of like Wednesday, I'm like, oh yeah, you're in the show. You're guaranteed you're doing the show. The weight healing and everything else, and then like, it's worse. How can it be worse? It's not a big deal.
And then 2 years ago, people would have jumped for $25,000. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. But even listen, the Arnold UK, Chris, is 250,000 first place, and the other placings are good too. So, I mean, that's the third best show, in existence. So there's the Arnold, the Olympia, and the Arnold UK are the top three, prize winners, prize money you get, and yet we have trouble getting the top guys over there. I don't know what the problem is. I mean, who can't afford to suck it up for 2 weeks? And I mean, Nick Walker, you really couldn't go. I mean, I love Nick and everything like that, but he really couldn't go and try to win another 100 grand, even if he plays second, right?
Would the 1999 second to last Jay Cutler at the Olympia be on the plane headed to, the next show, $5 grand?
Yeah. 100%.
He would say, Chris, I saved every drop of that 25 grand. I still have it.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you know what? If Martin's places second at the Arnold UK, which it looks like he probably will, that's a nice paycheck he's going to take home. I applaud him because he had a tough week after that Arnold, right? I mean, he was fighting with everyone, and he looked like he was going to leave, bodybuilding and quit, and he pulled it together. And a lot of people gave him some good advice and supported him, and he's I wish he would have done the Detroit show, but he's going to be at the Arnold UK, and he's going to collect a really nice paycheck for himself, more than likely. So kudos to you,
Dave. We know, Dave, if you were top 5 in that Arnold, you'd be getting a call from I don't know who would say, Dave, you're winning all these smaller shows, 10 grand, 25 grand.
Yeah.
You're tying up the qualifications. In other words, you're motivated to go.
Yeah. You can't listen. I understand if it would be like a month or 2 months after the show, your body doesn't want to cooperate anymore. But 2 weeks, 3 weeks, come on, you guys, you're professionals. You shut it down after that. You wait till the Olympia. You have a nice amount of money in the bank, and you qualified. You don't have to worry about it. I hear Nick isn't doing New York or Pittsburgh either. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do to qualify. And he looked the best he ever looked. I talked to Guy when I saw him at Champions Day, and Guy, I think was trying to encourage him to do one of these shows, to get that qualification. I don't know why he's, skipping or what he's got in mind, but he obviously has a game plan because he does have to qualify for the Olympia still.
Wesley in the Classic, he won 100, and he went to Detroit to get I think it was 10. 10's not bad at all.
And then he's going back to the UK, Arnold, too, to battle Mike Sommerfeld. So
he has a chance to beat Mike Sommerfeld.
Yeah, I think he does, because I think Mike's been, in a bad place mentally because of all this.
Wesley has improved, and
quite a bit.
And the height carries a lot against somebody without height. It's like the Andrew height that he has right now, that's a filled out Andrew, and Wesley, I think, has filled out his physique where it accentuates. It's the height is helpful rather than almost like some weird detriment. Sometimes he looked in the past, a little bit too long. Wesley,
I think it's going to be a great battle.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wesley does more shows after this.
Oh, you think so? He might. I think he'll shut it down to the Olympia at this point. But
is Sid
I'm glad he did all three.
Who's going? Is Sid going?
To the UK now.
Yeah. No, you're missing a good interview with Wesley. He's a good interview.
I know. No, he is. Well, I'll get a camera guy. You can interview him.
He's very non-arrogant, cocky. If that makes sense.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And this comparison is not even fair because you don't really see the height difference, like you said. They're not really standing next. This is a virtual type of pose down. But I think Mike's in trouble with Wesley. I really do. So assuming Wesley comes in full like he did for the Arnold, I think he's going to be in trouble. And Mike's got to make that new, the weight class that he didn't think he had to make. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys do against each other this coming weekend. You'll have to keep us in the loop as to what's going on. I have a camera. My guy Alexi there. I'm going to try to see if I can get him a press pass so you can he can film you interviewing the winners. And because it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great show. I got to tell you, Arnold did it right with this, putting these two shows like right next to each other and putting that much prize money up. I mean, that's huge. I heard they sold. I talked to Brian Powers. They sold that place out, I think, already.
UK.
And yeah, they stand to make a lot of money over there. I mean, the people are going nuts for that show, and I guess the lineup is just stellar. You got Andrew in there, obviously, Martin after that controversial, placing, and all the craziness that went on after that, showing up at that show. So that's going to add an element of excitement, obviously, to the lineup as well. And they have a great expo there too, so it should be an awesome show. You'll be there, obviously, starting tomorrow.
I hope
and
to the audience.
Maybe you and Kamal could do the wrap up together.
What's that?
Maybe you and Kamal could do the wrap up of the show.
If someone's there with the camera and everything.
Yeah, I'm going to send Alexi there. I'm going to work on that this week. Alexi's the guy who did my documentary. He lives like 5 minutes. He lives down the block from the venue.
More important than that, you get me a press pass. Second.
Yes, it's nice that you told me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have one. I got to make a phone call when I get out of here.
Try to get two. One for me, one for Freed.
Yeah. Okay.
Me,
Freed,
and Wesley.
Yeah.
If Wesley's in the lead, I'll have him do the wrap up after the prejudge. And Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley could do the wrap up with you for the Open. Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. What do you get? The president? You got Trump calling you? When you're on your iPhone and someone makes a phone call, it kind of blacks you out for a second, but that's the way it goes. So if you had to make a prediction, and I know you're pretty good with the predictions, are we going to see a 100% Martin? Are we going to see an off Martin? Or are we going to see like a stellar Martin, like that's even better than we expected? Yep, I lost Chris. Well, he's not going to be answering that question. I think we're going to see the best Martin we've seen because I think Martin's pissed off. He does well when he puts himself in that pressure seat. He likes proving people wrong. He had a bad Arnold, and this Chris.
Yeah,
and he wants redemption. And I think we're going to see the best Martin Fitzwater we've ever seen. What do you think, Chris? Will we see the best Martin, or are we going to see an off version of Martin?
Can
you turn your phone?
I think we'll see something very impressive.
Right.
I don't think.
Do you think all this drama is going to be helpful to him, or hurt him?
Hurt him.
Okay. I think it's going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
I think he's going to look amazing. Where will we see Nick if you were a predicting man? Where will he be next?
Texas.
You think he'll go to Texas?
He'll pull an Andrew and wait to the last qualification.
Now Andrew's not going to do Texas again, is he?
No. That's how Andrew, qualified 2 years in a row. He waited to the last.
I know he likes that show. I said
to the last minute.
Yeah. All right. I'm assuming Andrew's going to shut it down after this show.
Yeah.
Season until the Olympia.
He needs to, like everyone else, take some time out of the gym and these are long preps.
Yeah. Andrew reminds me of although he's not that in similar, Dennis Rodman when he used to play for the Bulls. They used to he would just be like in the middle of the season. He'd be like, I need a vacation. And then, what do you need? You need a vacation. I need to go to Vegas, and they'd let him go to Vegas for like 48 hours. And Jordan and Pippen were always like, don't let him go. He's not going to come back, and they'd have to Jordan would have to fly over to Vegas to find him. Pick him up off the floor because he'd be on so many drugs and alcohol. and they'd bring him back to Chicago. And, you know, the next morning he'd be at practice reeking of alcohol, but he'd be running and playing like, you know, like it was the best he's ever been, because he needed that, like that to blow off some steam every once in a while, you know. And I think
Andrew
bodybuilders want that.
Andrew has he's the only successful bodybuilder in the IFBB history with an NBA body.
If he does, yeah.
I told you we were in the Airbnb, and I didn't like the lighting, and I went to get the chair, and they had these like lights up on the ceiling, and he stood on his tippy toes and extended the arm, and I kept on extending, and he adjusted the light, and me and Kamal just laughed, because if I was to do it or Kamal, we had to get the bar stool and stand on the bar stool, and we probably still.
Kamal still wouldn't reach it with his height, yeah.
Still wouldn't reach it.
Andrew probably can dunk a basketball, I bet you. No one knows he can do it, but if we said, Andrew, can you dunk a basketball? He'd be like, yeah, of course, you know.
We gotta have a one-on-one, him versus Phil Heath.
There you go. I think Phil would take him, but you never know. Maybe Andrew has some hidden basketball talents. He might be like the next Bo Jackson, you know.
Yeah.
Could do it all.
And he could show up with his clipboard and a pen, like the NBA with Phil.
You know, I was watching interviews with Bo Jackson. He's been doing a lot of interviews recently. You know, I always send you the clips too, because he's such an incredible athlete.
Great.
This guy, if he hadn't, you know, messed up his hip playing football when he got hit that one time and he had hip replacement, he would have been the greatest baseball player of all time. I'm convinced of it. His game smarts was so good. I mean, he had a rifle of an arm. He hit the ball with a fat. He could do everything. This guy, he's unbelievable. He was probably the most gifted athlete of all, and he's the only guy over 220 pounds who could run as fast as he can. I mean,
he could.
This guy is like
runs. He played outfield like his. Talk about a missile for an arm, right? You've seen that where he threw the guy, like the guy trying to steal home.
Throw him out from center field.
Yeah.
They said Bo was so fast on the bases too. They said that the one guy was telling me he caught a ball. He's like, I saw him rounding second already. He goes, I threw it to the pitcher because I thought he was going to go home. He goes, I wasn't even worried about third base. He goes, I was afraid he was going to try to go home with it. So I threw it to the pitcher. That's how scared they were of this guy on the bases. He was so fast.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
And, yeah, he's a once in a generation guy. He's like a Ronnie Coleman, you know. But like you said, you never know when you're going to get hurt. His career was cut short. He could have been the greatest athlete of all time. But you know, you got to stay healthy too. What
a perfect tie-in, Dave, to the you know, to you never know. Career's over. I have someone, Dave, I'll tell you off, but someone I coach who, out of people's minds, he could win shows. I'll tell you off because jinx him.
Right.
But he's had a minor injury 3 years in a row where he had to pull out of shows where he absolutely would have been no lower than second.
Right.
And just little, you know, it's the ankle, it's the femur, it's always something.
Well, we lost Chris again. Got a phone. The phone's ringing. It's Monday. Every time I think Monday's going to come around, I'm like, you know what? I'm caught up with everything.
Do I have volume?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Just turn the phone sideways. I was just talking about Mondays. I said Mondays, you know, you think that, I'm caught up. I worked the whole weekend. Monday comes and all of a sudden everything starts happening. It's like one phone call after another. It's like everyone saves up everything from the weekend. And no matter how caught up you think you are, Monday will. That's why they say it's just another manic Monday. And Chris's life too. There you are.
Someone calls me, Dave, your volume cuts out.
No, well, when they call you, you go black, the screen. So you cut out. That's just unfortunately when you're using your phone, that could happen. I was just talking about how Mondays are just so crazy, you know, that just when you think you're caught up on the weekend, Monday comes and like 6,000 phone calls come through. Everything's falling apart. People want money. They want to get paid. They want this. They want that. You know, every problem in the world pops up on Mondays. So
Yeah.
What was I saying to you? Do you remember actually asking? I don't even remember what I was asking you.
Up with
Oh, someone wanted to know if Rafael Brandao will come back to you.
No.
You don't think so? Okay. Now that he left Neil Hill, you haven't got any phone calls.
No.
Okay. What do you think's going on with Samson? A lot of people have been asking me. He's been very quiet. Haven't heard. We've obviously seen the pictures. He looks enormous, obviously. You think he's kind of biding his time and just resting and preparing for the Olympia, or will we see him before that?
No, you're not going to see him before that. He's doing one grand experiment right now,
which is
get as big as I possibly can.
Which do you feel is the right move? Because I've heard Sean Ray say it's the worst thing you can do.
There is a happy medium, and that's what I'll say. There's a happy medium to an off season, but the strategy is in response to the strategy that he had at the Olympia, which was come in as detailed as possible. And, he dropped from first to third, just as Derek had dropped, ironically, from first to third the year before.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right.
Interesting that this year and last year, the prior year's Mr. Olympia fell down to third place, not second, but third.
True. Well, obviously, the what he went through was certainly influencing and affecting him.
Yeah. So.
And that was revealed when I interviewed him at the Arnold. I thought it wasn't going to affect him at all. And he completely confirmed that. He was very upset by what was going on, and it definitely had an impact on him. We saw it.
100%.
And did you see this this Iranian soccer player who was put to death?
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised that more athletes didn't speak up about it. Obviously, look, we don't live in Iran and we don't know what's going on there. We know what's going on there. We don't really know internally what's going on. Obviously, this guy was protesting and the government wanted to make an example of this guy. I'm surprised more athletes didn't speak out about it, because, sports should be separate from political stuff. And I felt terrible for Hadi that he was somehow sucked into that whole political game too, and that the fans kind of turned on him and everything like that. Because, I interviewed Hadi at the Olympia, at the Arnold, and we were in a very secure location and with a lot of security around, and he really reached out to me and wanted to speak, and from the heart. And I could tell the guy was sincere, and I could tell that he loves bodybuilding and he loves the people of Iran, and he got caught up also. And you can't make the right decision when you're politically entwined, and it's just it's sad that athletes are getting sucked into the political rigmarole that's going on here. We should be separate. Sport should be pure. The Olympics were like that, right? During wartime, there would still be Olympics. I remember the Berlin Olympics, and it's like it's a day to, when you're doing sports, it's like a way to just say this is a peaceful participation, competition that is completely separate from whatever the political, aspirations are of the government that you're representing. And I just felt like this guy got sucked into it. I wish more athletes would have spoke out against it. Do you have an opinion?
I have lots of opinions, but I'm not sure what point you're making was like wishy-washy.
Well, the point I'm making is that I thought it was disgusting that like the other athletes didn't stand up for this guy and say, this is an atrocity. That was what was done to him. He just wanted to play soccer, this guy. And he was a star. And the fact that he didn't like what the government was doing should not be a reason that they put this guy to death. And I'm surprised we didn't see more top names speaking out about this in support of this guy. This guy risked his life and he lost it because of it.
How about backtrack and ask about the support for someone you know, Hadi?
Well, I think there was a lot of people in our community that supported him. I know I supported him through it. I mean, a lot of people didn't, but I mean, a lot of people did, you know. But people were speaking about it. At least they weren't like going quiet over this thing.
I didn't outside of Lee Priest, I didn't know anyone was supporting him.
Yeah, no, I think so. There was a lot of fan support. I mean, there were a lot of people who were against it, but there's a lot of people that are just negative people online too.
I don't think he had support, and I don't think his sponsor supported him.
No, his sponsor did not support him, unfortunately. I don't know if that was a.
At the end of the day, he had no support.
Well,
How do you really have support? Because it's a taboo subject to talk about. Because of him, it's indicating you're supporting the government. And that's the wedge issue that people who didn't support him used. Full stop. Right. End of story.
Well, Arnold supported him, right? He didn't take him out of the lineup. He kept him in the lineup. He gave him top security. The whole place was secure with metal detectors everywhere you went. So that was support and showing him, hey, look, we want you here. We're going to spend the money to make sure you're safe here, security-wise, because we think that this is very important that you be here. And I thought that was a tremendous show of strength on their part.
Competed in the show. I mean, was there an audible? I mean, there wasn't a declaration of support for Hadi. I'm not saying they didn't support him.
Well, I heard the fans cheering when he was out there, so there was obviously a lot of people who wanted to see him do well.
Separated. Well, the people at the competition see him as a bodybuilder. You know, they don't see a political pawn. And Arnold sees him as a bodybuilder. They don't see a political pawn, but allowing him to compete in the show is not a stance. It's his right as the second best athlete on the planet this past year.
Right, but what I'm saying is they made if they didn't have all that security there, it could have been dangerous for him. And so they said, listen, we want you here so much so that we're going to up security. We're going to make sure that you feel comfortable here. And everywhere we go, we're sending security with you. So that was showing the support on the side of Arnold. The fan support was in. I heard them in the crowd yelling for him. No one was booing. I didn't hear anyone booing for him.
That is in response to the fans, the Iranian fans, not the American fans, Iranian fans, the diaspora fans who turned out against him.
There was no one there who turned out against him. All the people who said they were going to go there against him, no one showed up. So they were all full of crap. You know, they were talking. They were internet talkers, is what they were.
Well, when there's internet talkers, there's still talkers. You have to take it serious. Thus, the security.
Of course, that's why they had security there. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, no one showed up to protest.
How was King Kamali's support for him? Did he support him or not support him?
No, he wasn't. I don't think he had support for him at all. He was supporting the protesters but he wasn't willing to go there and protest it himself. But Hadi put the olive branch out there to Kamali when I asked him about him, and he said he'd like to sit down and have a meal with him because he's never even talked to him before. So I thought that was very, very genuine on Hadi's part, and hopefully Kamali will take him up on that.
Yeah.
My point, I guess, is that why the soccer community didn't stand up for this guy and show their outrage at what was done to him, I don't know. It just seems like everyone's very quiet about it. So that was the only point I was making. I think there should have been more outrage by the professional soccer players. How come Ronaldo and Messi and those guys weren't saying stuff? They're the biggest names in the sport.
Oh. If you want to take it,
this guy was not a chump. This guy was a good player.
You want to take it one step further, Dave. We were supposed to go in to support the protesters, and here we are just bombing everyone.
Well, that's another story. I'm talking about sports. I'm not talking about what's going on politically. We can debate that, for 6 hours. But
to draw a magic line between the two, right?
Well, I just think it's it's outrageous that country would take a guy who's one of their number one athletes and kill him to try to make a statement. It's horrendous. Because it could happen to anyone, then that means there's no one's
safe.
No one's safe, yeah. I guess that's the point I'm making. Anyway, our prayers and love go out to his family, I guess. It's it's a depressing type of situation. Obviously the whole, no one wants to see war, and that sucks and everything like that. But when the athletes get sucked into it, I mean, look at that girl, the girls' Iranian soccer team. I think they stayed in Australia, right? I think they're at Lee Priest's house, actually, living at Lee's house.
I think they all went home.
I don't think I think some of them got. Didn't some of them get some kind of like refuge there or something?
No, they were offered an enormous amount of money to stay.
Oh, they were, and they went home. Wow. Oof.
I don't know if they went home, but I know that. I mean, you can look it up.
Yeah, no, you might be right.
Google AI is pretty good. You can see that they were.
Google AI. Google AI.
With politics, because who did win the Arnold? Andrew won the Arnolds. Well, let's say Nick Walker, won the Arnold, and he came out very anti-Trump. He'd lose a lot of support, and if he came out pro-Trump, right?
Yeah.
He'd lose a lot of support. So the problem is at that level, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. Andrew used to play soccer, right? Wasn't he a soccer player?
Yeah, he had to. Nigeria. It's not big.
He was a soccer player.
Paul.
Andrew was probably like Bo Jackson. He probably was like a world-class soccer player too.
I know soccer's.
I have to imagine at that height,
Soccer's on continuously. Soccer matches.
Oh, when you're in the room with him, yeah. Was he good? Do you know if he was good or not?
I don't know.
You gotta ask him. If you interview him at the show, you gotta ask him about the soccer. I asked Rami about his fishing, boats that he has.
More important for
about his soccer days.
Welcome Back Carter edition. Dave, when I saw Dave had a video from when he graduated high school. And
you like that?
I thought it was John Travolta.
Where is that one?
Dave, you had all the mannerisms too.
I know. I didn't even. My uncle used to say it to me. I used to think he was like mocking me.
Yeah, what are you talking about. Travolta had remember he had the long hair.
I know. Yeah, for a while. Yeah, in Vinnie Barbarino days, right?
What's the complaining guy? The little.
That's my sister right there, and funny.
You just need Horshack in the background saying, "Dave."
Yeah. Like there's my grandmother, she's like sneaking up the stairs there. That was my father and his. I try to think about how old my father must have been. He must have been like the same age I am now. Which is funny. He had to be in his late 50s, which is amazing, right? That we're that age now. But yeah, my cousin pulled this out of you remember the old camcorders that were they look like TV cameras?
Why don't you put on your shoulder?
Put on your shoulder. It was so heavy. That's what that was from. That was from those. That was someone must have brought it over to my house from my graduation. This was college I thought it was high school. It was actually college graduation. So I had started bodybuilding a little bit at that point, but
no, you were obsessing about running.
No, I had stopped running at that point, or we cut it back. I probably was about 180 pounds in that picture. Anyway, thought that was funny.
180 to 310.
Yeah. Now I don't know if you heard my show I did with John Romano the other day, because when you were indisposed, but Romano leaked something that he heard, through some back channels that the Olympia might be $1 million this year. Prize money, first place. What do you think about
that? It's an unbelievable number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
You know, it makes sense. Listen, if you're going to go over Arnold, which is 750, right? If you're going to go to 8, you might as well go to $1 million at that point, because it's whoever. I always said this. I've been saying this for the last 2 years. Whoever gets to $1 million first wins, right?
Two things, Dave. It's not like The Price is Right. You go to 772,050. But you started, Dave. If you unbury past episodes, it had to be like 6 years ago. You were talking about $1 million first prize, and it used to make me nauseous when you would say it, because I'd be like,
never gonna happen. Yeah.
$1 million. What $1 million? Million. I don't know where you came up with the number, but it's not in the last 2 or 3 years. It was when like the Arnold was, well, I don't know, 130, and the Olympia was like.
Yeah.
You'd say it, and I'd be like this on the show. Here's my response. And you talk about it and talk about it. $1 million, and here we are.
We're close. Yeah.
It's amazing. It is, actually.
I mean, Arnold is giving away $1 million in 2 shows. I mean, which is pretty close. But yeah, I think if Olympia goes to $1 million first place, it wins. They win. I think if they do that. Will Jake do it? I don't know. I don't know if the business model's there. You know what I mean? Unless he wants to take it out of his pocket. I know the Arnold probably had the most successful expo in the history of the show, from what I understand. So they're making the money.
I like to be obnoxious. Go to the Arnold and say, I don't know why they got to make $100 million on this. Why is prize money not like $5 million? Not
right.
That the back end, the expenses are just.
There's a lot of expenses. Of course, you're right.
I like doing that.
There's so many people who work there.
Like, oh, this must be easy.
People don't realize it's a whole year's job just to run that show. Like, so the staff that's on that show work 365 days a year just to put the Arnold Classic on, and they've been doing that for years. So it's not like they don't have another job. That's their job. That's how crazy that show is. And the organization of that show is. They work 365 days a year to put that show on, between getting sponsors, setting up everything, the venue, all the behind the scenes stuff that we have no idea, that we would probably lose our mind if we had to do. Securing, all the special awards and the trophies, and I can't even imagine what it takes to run one of those shows. It just might be. I mean, the Olympia is a monstrosity in and of itself, but the Arnold, with all those different sports, coordinating all that, has got to be crazy. Yeah. And I take my hat off to both parties. Are doing a great job, and the money has gone up and up and up. And will we hit $1 million this year at the Olympia? There's a possibility, from what Romano said, from what he heard behind the scenes, that it looks like they're talking about that very seriously. And if that's the case, it's going to be a serious show.
Am I on the show? Am I still here? Can you see me?
You're here. You're here, Chris.
They're going to get. I think they should get Tony Robbins backstage to pump the athletes up. Right.
Derek would do great with that. Derek would love that, right?
No, it'd probably be the hardest people to pump. Tony would be like, what a dead crowd. Everyone's like, just no interruptions, please. You know, people backstage like lying down.
Yeah.
Any interruptions. We brought Tony in to pump up the athletes.
I'd love it. That would be matter of fact, that's such a good idea, Chris. I don't even know why no one ever thought of that before. Special guest Tony Robbins. Get him out there.
Pump up at the athletes, big screen, be able to see them.
Yeah, it would be great. I think that would be. Look, back in the day, I got to give Wayne DeMille credit. Remember, we used to bring Tom Arnold in, and he used to always have like Dana Carvey was there a few years. Triple H. They always had celebrity guys, coming in to do some stuff. Yeah, they and what year did they do the Bruce Buffer thing? That was terrible. Was that last year?
I don't know.
Or 2 years ago? 2
Dana
years ago.
I could never put them one and one together. How's Dana Carvey? Because he did the Arnold pump you up with some bullshit, or Tom
Yeah, because he did the I pump you up. We want to pump you up. Remember Hans and Franz?
Tom Arnold is like bringing in Bob Barker to do the.
Tom Arnold was that was when Arnold was doing movies with him, I think. That's why he brought him in. He probably was free, you know.
Yeah.
But it's good to get a little bit of a celebrity angle in there. I don't know. Why not? There's a lot of bodybuilders. There's a lot of celebrities that work out. The Rock, I think, did they have The Rock one year? Or he was supposed to show up? I don't know if he did or not. I think he did one year.
Who would you like to see, Dave? Top 3 current stars.
I thought Triple H was great. I really did think he was great when he would come on, and he knows bodybuilding. You know, I don't know if he's got availability because he's so busy these days. I loved having him on. I would love to see Stallone. You know, come on. I mean, he's older now. He's like, you know, willing to do more stuff than he did when he was back in the day. He was the original. You know.
Who could ad-lib the most, not knowing anything about the sport, but sound like he knows the absolute most about the sport?
Any of the wrestlers could do it, right? I'm sure.
Trump.
I don't think they can get Trump, Chris. That would be a good.
He goes to
you know, Arnold certainly is not getting Trump. They don't get along, but maybe the Olympia guys can get Trump.
He goes to MMA, but the commentary would be like, you know.
Well, Trump's son, Don Jr. loves working out. I mean, he's a big bodybuilding fan, so I could definitely see him coming. I don't know about Trump, but we can definitely get him. I guess if we should maybe they should hold the Olympia at Mar-a-Lago, Chris. There you go.
No, they could have the banquet.
Vegas.
They could have the banquet there, Dave.
The banquet. Trump he could build a state. Did you see there was a comic that someone drew of like Trump building the new ballroom, and they showed it was like the White House, and then they had the Death Star like being built right next to it.
Yes.
I think I sent it to you. The $250 million ballroom. But no, yeah, but I think that if they held the Olympia at Mar-a-Lago, that would be great. You know, I don't know what tickets would cost there, but it would certainly be awesome. So anyway, big show this coming weekend. Chris will be out in the UK tomorrow and all week, and our coverage from the Arnold UK will hopefully be stellar with Chris there, and hopefully we can get Wesley to help us out a little bit. Wesley's going to have a battle on his own against Mike. I think Mike Sommerfeld is going there, right? Isn't that what I heard? Someone in the comments said they weren't sure he was going. Isn't he going?
It's been billed, I believe, that way, right?
I believe so. Yeah. So I don't, from minute to minute, everything changes, so you never know. But Wesley, I am heading to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned.
He understands him not doing the show after seeing his performance at the Arnold, right?
Wesley's a scary dude, man. 6'3", broad as a house. I mean, he's really come into his own. We've seen this guy grow from, a fledgling classic guy who was pretty skinny, just had the Arnold poses down, and now he's a serious threat. I mean, he won there was really not an official overall, but he beat Mo Foda in the mock, battle of what is Detroit, they call it the King of Detroit shit, where they did the open guy versus the against the regular guy in the classic, and Wesley beat Mo Foda. So he's the real deal.
Celebrity IFBB basketball game against the NBA All-Stars. We can have Wesley as a forward, Andrew as a forward. Maybe
oh my God.
Gillette out of retirement, put him in the center.
There you go.
Yeah, get
Lou Ferrigno could,
you got to get Phil because he played ball, right? So there's three. We got
Phil could be the point guard, because he's got the most experience on the court. And I think we have a couple other guys. Who was that guy just recently who dunked the basketball? I'm trying to remember who did it. Another bodybuilder dunked the basketball. There's probably a bunch of guys who could do it. So we have some really good athletes in the bodybuilding world that were serious college athletes and stuff like that went into bodybuilding because of injuries or just maybe they didn't make it. But I guarantee if you put a team of basketball players together from the best bodybuilders, who've played the sport before, you probably get a pretty good team.
Dave, we're ending the show where we started it with injuries. We started with talking about injuries, people, and then we went to Bo with his injuries and his hip, and now you're talking about injuries in other sports.
That's right. That's right. I always tell people, I told you to tell your son that because your son wanted to start running. I saw he was posting something about he's going to start running again. And he had a picture of himself running around the track. And what I tell you, I said, tell him no running. You do one sport. Can't do two sports at the same time.
Funny, Dave, you sent that to me and said, tell your son not to run. He's going to get hurt. And then I went to the Instagram post and someone had posted, I'm surprised Dave Palumbo has not said, tell him not to run. And I hit reply. I said, he just texted me that.
I didn't see that. That's hysterical.
You sent that to me, a text.
That is funny.
Chris, tell 3 don't run. You can get hurt. And then
it's hysterical.
To the post, and someone had posted, I'm surprised Dave Palumbo didn't tell Chris to tell his son not. I just hit reply, said he just literally texted me that.
That is I swear, I swear I didn't read that. That's hysterical. Yeah, because you when you start bodybuilding and developing muscle in a certain plane of motion, and then you try to do another sport, you always wind up getting hurt. It's inevitable. He's young still, so he thinks he's invincible. But Fareed, I know you're watching this. Don't run. All right, and that's my words of wisdom. I got to go to the dentist, Chris. As we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Thanks for joining us live.